Coach.
Hey, everyone. All right. I would be remiss if I didn't mention at first, just acknowledging 9/11 and, the impact I think that's had on everyone. That's one of those days for me that will always stand out. You remember exactly where you're at, that exact moment. For me, it's my sophomore year in science class, right? It's just weird how you can almost recall, every moment of that day. So, want to, have a chance to remember those involved in that. Leading back to Saturday night, that flight, it was a mixed emotion flight, right? We were extremely excited. I was really proud of our team's poise and our coach's poise throughout that game, but also acknowledging all the things that we put ourselves in and the situations we put ourselves in within that game. But to be able to come out of that place in a hostile environment with a win and a lot of things that we always talk about, Monday's our day to go to the doctor. We were able to go to the doctor and acknowledge a lot of things. One being especially the penalties there in the game. Something we addressed. First thing we put up in front of our players today is, a penalty, and then acknowledging how that drive finished when we had a penalty within that drive, right? So false start, punt, false start, punt, false start, punt, right? Pass interference, touchdown, pass interference, touchdown, pass interference. So really just recognizing like if we eliminate some really careless errors and figure out ways to drill those things in practice, it's going to make us a completely different team. And I think that game could look a lot different. That being said, I think Texas Tech had a great plan, and they did some really good things that challenged us that we're going to be able to build off of, and we've already attacked how we can get better. But moving forward from that game, Hawaii, really excited about this matchup. I think it provides some fun opportunities. There's a lot of players on our team, from the islands. That are here, and this game means a lot to them. Certainly a team that we have a lot of respect for. There's also some unique opportunities this week for our fans to contribute back to some of the people involved in what happened at Lahaina and Maui as well. So I know that'll be something working with Marcus Mariota's foundation, Justin Herbert and Sabrina. They all have some pieces where we have an opportunity to give back. I know us as a team are also collecting some clothing and finding things that we can do to help give back to those people as well. But that being said, we can open it up for questions.
Starting right over here with that.
We've talked a lot about the mistakes and the stuff that you need to get better at after this week. What are some things that you saw after watching film that you're really proud of that your team did, other than the poise, just schematically? What do you guys?
Yeah, other than the poise, that's hard. But you know what? I'll say this: there was moments on both sides of the ball. I thought situationally, our team handled some situations really well. You talk about situation like I haven't been part of I can't remember a game I've been a part of where there's a block punt and you won the game, right? We get a punt block, you turn around, very next play, interception, right? We go for it on 4th and 1, right? We don't get the stop, next play or shortly after, end up getting a sack fumble, right? So I thought there was great response when we were put in some tough situations defensively. I thought offensively, when we didn't hurt ourselves, we moved the ball really well. And what I loved was from our sideline, every time we got thrown in one of those situations, it wasn't a coach telling the players what we're about to do. It's the players, communicate what we're about to do. We're about to go put the fire out on defense, or we're about to go convert or go score on offense. So seeing our team respond to that adversity, but then how they handled those situations was great to see.
Second row left, Eric.
First off, I guess, what do you remember from Timmy Chang's playing career, and then also just their offense, and does it resemble kind of that same aggressive passing style?
You see a lot of it. Obviously he was a phenomenal player, right? I think second overall all time in passing yards, and that's the flavor that they are right now, right? They air it out, they find ways. Their quarterback has probably the strongest arm as far as getting the ball down the field that we've seen so far this year, and they connect on deep shots. I think they throw for over 350 yards a game. And I know that he's looking for more balance, but they create explosive plays with those throws down the field, and they have some guys that can really stretch the field. And it's very different. It's a very different scheme than what you see in other weeks as far as the route distribution, how they read patterns and run their routes based off of your leverages, how shallow routes can convert to long, deep routes, or deep routes can come back. So they have to be really in sync, and they found a way to be in sync. You've seen them score some points against other Power 5 opponents this year. They will challenge you from an offensive perspective. So, but him as a player and what they're doing, you see a lot of carryover.
Front left, James.
On the pass interferences specifically, what were the coaching points and how to avoid those specific instances, not just in general, but especially with this week where you're looking at an opponent who's looking to pass nearly exclusively?
Yeah, I think the ones, how do you create those situations specifically in practice? I think all three pass interferences that we had were a little bit different, right? You look at Mace's, he was not necessarily in panic mode, but the receiver's working back right to the ball, and he's got to turn and be in position to be able to play the ball and, not just run through the receiver. Kyrie he was in panic mode, and the ball was thrown, but, looking back at that one, that's one where you have an opportunity to go play the ball, right? So, again, just calming down, and looking back at Ty Sheems, I've watched it several times. I don't know that I would call that pass interference very often, right? But it was called. So now what we got to do, you got to go play it. I thought he played aggressive in play. There was a little bit of hand fight back and forth. But what you would say is creating some out of phase drill work where we can figure out where the ball might be underthrown, right? And you have to be able to play the ball and play through without making drastic contact with the man. Like I think it's 3rd and 18, right? That's obviously a really frustrating one. You got an opportunity to get off the field, ball gets launched down the field. We lost where we were at in our third, and we panicked. And that's one that you'd love to have back. But all those can be coached, and there's drills that we can do to make those better.
Bill Redshort.
When you talk about Texas Tech as kind of a character building win, what kind of similarities do you see between that win and the Washington State one on the road last year and what that kind of did for your team going forward?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have mentioned that game to us. In fact, we're getting on the plane and Casey Rogers is talking about, hey, this game feels like Washington State. And then right after that, we got it. He said that, and got an interception right afterwards. So it's just really unique how they both play out. I think both those games are games where we felt like we hurt ourselves, right? And we were still able to overcome that. But there's going to be a time when we play a team that we can't do that. And, I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad our players were really resilient. Each game, each team, each situation has a life of itself. And that game was certainly different, but there are some similarities.
All the way in the back, Matt.
Lawrence played quite a bit in this game. Just your impressions of how well he performed and just the importance this week as well against a team that you said throws the ball a lot, takes a lot of deep shots.
Yeah, there was some really good and there was some really bad. And but Jaleel has the ability to be a phenomenal player for us. And the reason he's out there competing is because he's done it really well in practice, right? We just have to continue to find more consistency, continue to be better with his eye discipline. But he's got the talent and the ability to be a great player for us. And I'm glad to see him grow and continue to get better. Makes us a better team.
All right, Zach.
In terms of snap count, Tysheem has led this defense so far. What have you seen from him through the first couple of weeks and kind of his ability to come in and kind of lead this defense?
Yeah, he's had some highs and lows, but overall, what he's proven is he's an instinctive football player that can make tackles. He's plays with tremendous effort. He had some of his highest GPS numbers this year in that last game. And I know that when we go to battle with Tysheem, that he's going to give us everything he has every single snap.
Second row on the left, Eric.
Last year, Bo didn't slide a lot. On Saturday, we saw him do that a couple of times. Is that a concerted effort to protect himself? Is that something you guys talked about in the offseason? Is that just the way the play came together? I'm curious on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I think Bo's being a smart decision maker when he's out there when there's opportunities that he needs to get it. I know him and I sat down and watched some plays yesterday. He's like, yeah, I could have gotten that one. And we actually just talked through the slide rules. What's the mechanics of when does the get ground is down when you slide versus how many yards you can gain. But no, I think he has an awareness of being smart. But I know this: when Bo Nix needs to get the yard, he's going to do everything he can to get the yard.
James.
It was a really high volume of defensive substitutions, not only in number of players played, which wasn't as extreme certainly as the week before, but just throughout play to play. And Jordan Birch had, compared to other defensive linemen, a lower snap count. How did you feel about the volume of subs you guys were having on the defensive side throughout the game, if it was matching matchups the way you wanted them, and what Jordan's snap count ended up being this past week?
Yeah, I think Jordan, we walked away, and he probably could have had some more snaps, but there was a strategic piece to that. An offense that goes really fast when they substitute, right? You want to match the sub and slow the game down, right? And there's just a reality of when they sub, you have an opportunity to sub as well, right? So we wanted to sub right in those opportunities, and what that did is it did pull some guys off the field at times that would have been on the field more, and vice versa. I think they were always looking for more balance, but to be at a high level and play at a high level, it's not necessarily amount of snaps. It's about what you do with the snaps you get, and we will continue to challenge our guys to do a great job there. But I know Jordan's a phenomenal player for us and has done a good job. And just because of the swing of things with some of those substitutions that happened at times.
Feeling right, Trevor?
You already talked about the PIs, but what are you doing to fix some of those issues at defending all those quarterback keepers that they were able to get for big gains?
Yeah, we work quarterback runs today, right? So part of it's rules, right? Do you have the schematic advantage, right? And anytime they play with 11, you have to play with 11, right? What's hard about what they do is they were also able to pass the ball too. So it happened more often in the red area for them, but there's some stuff schematically that we feel like we can do better, and then we've coached some of those situations better for our players, them understanding if they would have executed properly what it might have looked like as well.
On the right, second row, Jared.
Yeah, to kind of feedback off James' question, I'm just wondering what you've seen from Blake and Tatum in particular to earn some really big snaps and some really big moments.
Great practice. Yeah, when guys practice well and they perform in practice, it translates to the game, right? And I think we've had a lot of young freshmen that have got opportunities to play and perform for us this year. And again, it's never about what they did on Saturday. It's what they do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And when those guys do it in practice, it generally shows up in the game.
All the way back, Matt.
How well do you feel like you guys ran the ball and the importance of maybe getting positive yardage on first down to give you options of what you do on second down?
Yeah, I thought our efficiency in some runs was really good, and our efficiency in other runs was really bad. And I thought that's a great plan for a lot of our primary runs. You know, we've had a lot of success in the past with our counter plays. I thought they had some good schematic answers for that. And then we got to be able to figure out where in the Rolodex we can, because for us to be the team we want to be, set up our play action shots and be able to move the ball on the field, we're going to run the ball. And at times we didn't do that as effective as we want to be able to do that on Saturday. So,
Second row left, Eric.
2 straight games you guys have gone for 2 early. I assume maybe there's a read there. You can clarify that. But what's the benefit strategically of being aggressive early like that?
well, if you score 2 points, it's more than 1. And we found that when you have more points than the opponent, it gives you an opportunity to win. But no, I mean, if you look at it, we felt like it was something we would have potentially on film. The play didn't come out as clean as we really wanted it to come out. That being said, that paid off later on because they were chasing a 2-point conversion later. We got the 2-point stop, right? At some point, one of those plays that we do for 2, it might not work, right? And when it doesn't, then I'll have to defend that side of it as well, right? So it's certainly something we can see if the play's there or not. If we feel like it's there, then we can run it. We can always come back and kick the ball as well. But that's just one where when you can make the opponent chase points, right, early in the game, it gives you a chance to create more separation.
Front right, Zach.
First time playing Hawaii in almost 30 years. You mentioned the ties between Hawaii and Oregon. Can fans potentially look for maybe something for that nod in the uniform selection this week?
You won't believe me. I have no idea what we're wearing this week. Right? It's way down like the pecking order. I know that we're going to look phenomenal, right? I can tell you we're going to look phenomenal, but I have no clue what we're wearing. So maybe.
James.
Going back to the running game, Bucky didn't get a lot of opportunities in the fourth quarter, and I realize score plays a little bit of a role in that, but you certainly still ran the ball. Thoughts on what the running back rotation ended up being, particularly in the fourth, and was pass protection in any way a factor in Bucky in the fourth?
No, absolutely not. Bucky's a phenomenal player, and he can touch the ball a bunch. I mean, we're going to play all of our backs. We have 3 really good backs. We'll use all our backs. So, no, he could continue to play for us. I don't know exactly what his touches were in the fourth. You could probably tell me. They had 1 carry in the fourth. I don't know. But, I mean, Jordan's a really good back. Noah's a really good back. We got really good backs. So, and Bucky embraces whatever role he's in. I mean, that's what makes Bucky phenomenal. So we're going to use all the guys that can play for us at a really high level, and I think we do that.
You all right? Trevor?
Bryce is obviously a guy with a great story. I guess when did you realize that he was a guy that could really contribute for you this year at that inside linebacker spot for you?
Probably after the first scrimmage this fall, because, again, he played safety for us last spring and felt like that wasn't the perfect position fit for him. But after this first scrimmage, I think he was our production leader, the first scrimmage we had this fall. And we said, okay, this is a guy that can help us. And when he's on the field, he's obviously been productive. That sack fumble early was really big. I know they recovered it, but just creating some of those kind of moments. He had a fumble in the first game, that he recovered. So he's proven to be productive when he's on the field.
In the back, Matt.
Defensive guy, your thoughts on Hawaii's defense? I 22 tackles for loss through 3 games, pretty impressive, and a lot of pass breakups. Just your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, I think they have some talent there that really they could be. So a lot of these guys could be playing at a lot of programs in the nation, right? And one thing they've done a good job of, they've mixed in a lot of simulated pressures that they're using now. I think those have created a lot of those TFLs. They do a good job of fitting runs, and they play with tremendous effort, right? That shows up consistently for them.
Time for 2 more. Eric, you're on the left.
I want to ask you about the big play scepter. Jamal Hill brought that up, said that it was your idea. You brought it to the team.
I don't know if it's my idea, but yeah, we make big plays. We have a big play scepter. Really, that's about the shoes. So the shoes designed every single week by somebody different, and it an alum that means something to the program. Like Tinker designed the first shoe. Our guys make a big play. They get an opportunity to go sign the shoe, put it up in the air, and we celebrate big plays with each other. At the end of the year, we hope that's something that can be auctioned off. Those shoes that are exclusive 1-for-1s for a great cause, right? And be able to, contribute back to somebody else. But just a way to celebrate great moments. It's never bigger than the game. Certainly not more important than the result or what's happening in the game. But a way for us to acknowledge, something great that just happened.
Last question, James.
Asked you last week about the importance of recruiting in Texas and what, if any, role the upcoming series against Big 12 teams played. Clearly, this is a much more separated series, but the role of recruiting in Hawaii, what these games in any way may help contribute to that, and your thought of going to Hawaii for satellite camps and whatever role that might play in recruiting strategy.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll ever be down there for a satellite camp. It's a long trip based in a short amount of time, especially now with official visits and everything else that happens in June. But Hawaii will always be extremely important to us from a recruiting standpoint. And what's great is we've had some great ambassadors that have played here at Oregon that are from Hawaii. And they've put us, those players that have come here and given back to this program, have put us on the map with that place and made it a place that a lot of players there want to come play here. That's something we'll continue to do, is recruit that place, recruit Hawaii with a lot of passion and vigor, because there's some good players there that can help us.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.